Welcome to the channel today, and we are starting off with the fact that there are more ways to die than there are to live. So by nature, by biology, we are more biased towards being safe than to taking risk, yeah? So, and this opens up our talk today about the brain and how the brain affects how we live, how we see the world, how we make decisions, the quality of our lives. It is all in our brains. Now remember, if from an evolution point of view, the only purpose of the brain is to help you survive. It is not to make you happy, to help you make decisions to progress your career. It is not to make you have a good time. The only purpose of the brain is to help you survive. Because our brain usually is just in a flight or fight mode, because in as much as we are living in the world we are living in today, our brain thinks like in the past. It is thinking we are in the bushes and there's a lion that's about to eat us, yeah? So it has to decide quickly, do I fight this situation or do I run? So that is the thinking of the brain. It does not understand that this is just a meeting that you are afraid of going into. It does not understand it is your first time swimming. It interprets that situation as if you are in the jungle and there is a lion lurking somewhere. It has to decide for you whether to fight it or to run. Because remember, the only purpose of the brain is to help you survive. So based on that, then you must know that in every decision that we make, for every behavior that we have, the only thing we are trying to do is to eliminate not being sure. Yeah? Because remember, if you're in the bush and there's a lion that's about to, there's the danger of a lion that could eat you up, you don't want not to be sure. You need to be sure to guarantee that you will live the next second, the next minute. So this affects everything that we do. And remember, the brain also does a lot of assumptions. The brain in itself does not see. The brain in itself does not hear. It is our senses that see, that hear, that touch, and do all that. So the brain only receives signals. These signals, it makes them the best interpretation it can possibly make. Then from that guesswork, we have the view of our world. That's why we say your world is just your world. How you see the world is not how your friend sees it. It's not how your husband sees it. It's not how your wife sees it. It's not how your parents see it. It is not how your children see it. It is not how your boss see it. It is not how your colleagues see it. So you must understand your world is your world, because your world is in your head. Literally, your world is in your head. But the thing is, we thrive based on exposure, based on movement in our lives, yeah? That's why it changes, yeah? Our world changes because we thrive based on how much we expose ourselves. Now, taking this conversation to the issue of change, which is if you're speaking about, for example, building healthy relationships, whether it's as a marriage, whether you're dating, whether it's at work, then you can see how now the brain comes into play. Because number one, remember, you're making a lot of assumptions based on your history, based on your assumptions, based on how you were raised. Yeah, if it's how you progress at work, it's how you perceive your tasks and how a meeting went and why your boss is the way he is, why your colleagues are the way they are. You're doing all that based on your experiences, based on how you were raised, based on how much you've been exposed to. That's why you see different people handle different situations differently. A situation could agitate you and it might not agitate another. Yeah, you may be friends with someone and another person will not be friends with that someone based on different reasons, which you both cannot come to the same page about. So in every situation of your life, just know that you're making your own assumptions. Everybody is making theirs But then the bigger question is, then how do we bridge this gap? If you want movement, if you want change, if you want quality, if you want to challenge yourself, how do you do that? Literally, the brain will not make you do something that it figures is risky. Something that it has assessed as being too risky for your survival. And survival, is many things. It's emotional well-being, mental wellness, and all that. Yeah. So the brain will not, based on patterns, it will not make you do something that it does not think is good for you. But remember, this assumption is based on your exposure, how you've been raised. So if you've been raised to believe that toxicity is good for you, then the brain will not allow you to get out of that toxicity. If you are raised to say, for example, to say being rude works for you, then you see, for the brain, that means being rude works for you. You will not die if you are rude. And that is the purpose of the brain, to make sure you survive. If, for example, you condition your brain to eating fries every day, the brain captures that as, for us to be alive, fries is the way to go. So you go buy fries without even thinking about it. It might be bad for your health, yes. However, remember, the brain is helping you survive based on conditions, not based on absolute truth, based on conditions that you've exposed yourself to. But in the context of that, we want to change. That's the thing. We want to change. So let's say you are at point A, but you want to move to point B. The brain will not allow you to jump from A to B because the risk of the in-between is too big. The uncertainty is too big that the brain will not allow you to get there. Remember, I said earlier, the thing is, everything that we do, we want to eliminate uncertainty. So if you do the report on time, it's because you want to be sure that you will not get fired, because you want to survive, you want to live. Yeah. If you're always saying yes to your partner, even if it's not the right, you're feeling uncomfortable, you are doing it because it is eliminating the uncertainty of, what if I say no? What will happen next? You don't want uncertainty. So remember, your brain might keep you in bad patterns to avoid uncertainty. So what must you do to get from A to B? The thing is, you have to make a middle ground, the next possible thing. From A, you remember, from A to B, you can't go from A to B directly. So you have to move from A to what is the next possible thing that your brain can do, which is not B, but it is also not A. And that is how we make progress in life. You move from A to something that is not A, but it is also not B, but you have moved. So when you move, then your brain, you start making new patterns in your brain, yeah? Then it gets comfortable from the point that is not A, but is not B. Then gradually, you will get to point B, yeah? That's why people say, if you're climbing a mountain, you do not look at the mountain, because you'll never get to the mountain. What do you focus on? Your next step. That's why people say you eat an elephant by small bites. You cannot eat the whole elephant. It is small bites. That's why you'll hear people speaking about making marginal improvements, small steps. That's why we say take your baby steps. Then what happens when you're in your own space, when you're taking your baby step, from the external world, the people around you, they will see that as being a huge leap. Yeah, that's how it works. So everyone who you are seeing is making big moves out there. You are seeing someone making big moves. They are not big moves. They are big moves externally, yeah? And they truly are big moves, even to them. However, that big move is a move from A to a point that is not A, but it is yet to get to point B. But as long as you keep on making these small moves, eventually you will get to point B. So the moral of this conversation today is, do not go crazy wanting to do the extreme. because most likely than not you will fail. For example, you cannot go from probably not doing a toxic behavior or and then just being straight up, happy whole and not toxic. Most likely that you will get back into the pattern you are into. That's why you say gradual improvements. You eliminate one thing after the other, one thing after the other. But the thing you have to know is it's just the brain trying to make you survive. And I think for me, once I understood this concept, it got a little bit easier for me. Now I'm able to make those small decisions that allow me to progress in life, and eventually I can make the big moves. So I hope I've shared something interesting today that will help you conceptualize your world much, much better. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, to like, and to subscribe. Thank you, guys.